Hey guys, what is up? It's Dusty here and welcome back to another crypto video. Today, I am giving away 250 XRP if this video gets to 2,500 likes within 24 hours. Make sure you press that like button, make sure you share it over on Twitter, and also put something in the comment section because the way somebody will win is me going to a random comment picker and, picking somebody that way. Of course, if we hit the like requirement, we'll do the picking in the next video live. Of course. All right, so today I want to give you guys a small rundown of what's been happening with the Ripple v SEC lawsuit, some important things that you should not forget, and just general lawsuit stuff, all right? So sit tight. Even if you've been updating yourself every single week about the lawsuit, you might want to watch this video because even though it's not prepared in a way that some other big YouTubers do, I honestly think I have more knowledge about XRP's current situation than at least 99.9% of the others. So you might want to listen out. All right, first of all, in terms of price, I believe firmly that right now the XRP price is being suppressed. And that's very logical, actually. You don't have to be like, oh, it's very logical because there's a lawsuit going on. The lawsuit is basically about whether or not XRP is a security at, well, that's where a debate kind of flies in. It's either from the inception to the point at which they got sued or from inception up till now. The opinions kind of debate about that one, and there's another question which is not really too sure. I'm not too sure about that. Lawyers not too sure about that. Whether or not the entire debate here is about whether the coin itself, the token itself, is actually a security or the way that Ripple sold it. There's a really big debate about that, and that's also why Ripple right now is asking so many questions to basically narrow down exactly what the SEC is alleging, which is rather difficult because one of their letters says the one thing, one of the letters says the other, and John Dean pointed out saying no, they're trying to say that every single XRP transaction ever is a security transaction. Yet, if we read some of the SEC's papers, that's not really what they're saying. So I'm going to tell you guys, it's a little bit vague, and that's also kind of the central point of this lawsuit, that things are not really quite clear. So, to do a couple of steps back, Ripple has a couple of key defenses. One of them being the fair notice defense, which basically states that Ripple was not properly warned about all this stuff, and they didn't really get clarity in any way, shape, or form, so they couldn't have really known. This actually goes a step further, as Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larsen were also sued separately. It was a lawsuit against Ripple, Brad Garlinghouse, and Chris Larsen, and those two are saying, hey, we don't actually want this lawsuit against us in a motion to dismiss, because we don't think that we should be in it. It just makes no sense. Why? Well, that's on a couple of different bases. One of them being that all their sales were outside the US, so the SEC has no jurisdiction over it. And a second one being, well, they, again, for them to be guilty, basically, they should have known they were doing something wrong. Yet, again, if we look closely, the SEC is not saying they were frauding or doing any, malpractice in that sense. The Brad Garlinghouse side and Chris Larsen side are just defending, saying, hey, we couldn't have known because even you did not know. And that's actually the two most important things which we are waiting for right now. We are waiting for a motion to strike and a motion to dismiss. The motion to strike being the SEC's best efforts to go up to Ripple and say, hey, your argument for we didn't get fair notice, you didn't warn us properly, makes no sense because it was obviously really clear. And that's one central point that the SEC keeps pressing on right now in the media, that Gary Gensler finds that the entire situation for the market is so clear, it's all so easy. And the second one being the motion to dismiss, which is Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larsen's best efforts to get the lawsuit to those two individuals personally thrown out the window. Now, let's actually zoom in a little bit again on this motion to strike about the fair notice, as it's really quite interesting. One thing that's circulating on Twitter right now like crazy, is the situation about what makes a coin properly decentralized, when a cryptocurrency is a security and whatnot, and what other cryptocurrencies have gotten as a result. Let's look back, right? The SEC has dropped 75 cases against crypto, all of which they have won, and they're claiming one central point, is that XRP is basically similar, and all the previous cases should have alerted the people, should have let them know, and because of the way that Bitcoin Ether were decided, it should have all been quite clear. but most importantly because of the 75 cases. Yet Ripple, rightfully so, makes the argument that none of those 75 cases are even close to XRP's situation, and most of them are just plain up scams or ICOs basically, which XRP did not have. And that brings us back to point Ethereum and Bitcoin, which is, did Ethereum and Bitcoin get proper clarity? Did they? So, as it currently stands, Bitcoin and Ether are not securities. Since there's a Bitcoin futures product, Bitcoin futures ETF, I should say, and since Ethereum, in some strange way, also has some regulatory, I would say it differently, the CFTC also has some regulatory oversight over Ethereum, specifically the futures part of things. Since that's the way it's done, officially following some rules in the US right now, it's considered to be not a security because it kind of falls under the CFTC and whatnot, and the way it's been doing. And if we look back at the SEC's documents, Bitcoin and Ether as it currently stands are quote-unquote fine. However, following Gary Gensler's own words, Ethereum might as well be a security. And following Gary Gensler's own words once more, Bitcoin even might actually be a security, depending on how you look at it and depending on what factors you use. And that's actually the most important part of this entire case, which is that the entire lawsuit is built upon rules made in between 1930 and 1946. All the rules basically were made in that little time span. Every security case law basically that we are using right now has been made 80 years ago. And people are saying, hey, it's not relevant anymore to the digital time space, as the whole rulemaking process was about a orange grove field, sort of orange groves. Right now we're talking about real digital crazy things here. They don't relate to each other. They don't relate to one another anymore. The definition security does not really fit in properly here. We need some new terms. We need some new regulatory bodies because the SEC shouldn't oversee this, which is also what Biden has been thinking of. They want to create a task force that's built upon the CFTC and SEC to kind of go about crypto. But there's always, debates about that. Yet to bring back to the point of why I'm showing you guys this little article right here, right now there's a big debate about whether or not Ethereum actually got some preferential treatment. If you look back, Coinbase has had a really hard time getting clarity. They just don't know. And they were really late in listing XRP because they thought it might be a security. They were pretty early to stop listing XRP when they thought it was a security because of what the SEC has been doing. In the midst of it, though, they actually also got a little bit of a problem with the SEC themselves, as they wanted to launch a lending product, which has happened on Ethereum a ton of times before themselves. But the SEC came to intervene and say, hey, if you do that, we're going to sue you. We're going to come for everything. Be careful. Yet what they put up is, how can it that ETHLend, which is now Ava, for example, has been up for so many years and is all fine, yet when we try something like that, you instantly threaten us, basically. Like, why don't you go after all those other projects? And the same thing for Ethereum. The SEC is claiming that if your project is basically not finished, it's not properly done, or even if you're going to change something, the status of being a security or not can actually change. Now, what a lot of these guys are putting up is that Ethereum 2.0, for example, has been thought out from the start, and Ethereum right now, they had a literal pre-sale, so it's basically they had an ICO, right now are still ongoing with the actual building of the platform, and the end result is not really near. Meaning, they used funds from the pre-sale, which again was a literal ICO, to build the platform, which once more is literal ICO, that's still ongoing, so they're still using that. There's one argument they use against Ripple that their platform is still being basically expanded with funds they use from money that they've gotten from basically selling investment contracts. And there's a big debate about that, but that's a central point in this case as well. And right now, there's a lot of debate about that. A couple of new people have joined the entire debacle, though. Ever since Joe Biden came in with this new, or I guess the whole freaking U.S. came in with the new infrastructure bill, things have expanded a little bit because people start to go a little bit more rampant on, hey, something needs to change and it needs to change quickly. And more sources start to notice, hey, in the new bill, in the infrastructure bill, there's also a part about seeing a broker as a lot of definitions that would not really work in a crypto sense. People start to notice. Now, one of the guys who also got alerted by, I think Digital Asset Investor was Charles Gasparino, and he's basically saying now, breaking Joe Biden administration report on stablecoin sparks fierce debate about who should regulate crypto. Right now, a central issue in the entire freaking US and even the entire world is what company, what regulatory body should oversee it? How should we regulate them? Under what little freaking basket should it fall? How should it work? They don't know. How should we regulate it? How should we make money off it? How can we numb it down? How can we take it down? John Dean started a little bit of a petition basically, to get all the XP holders to stand up against the SEC. But what he also did is inform the people how they can actually show their senators how to basically give attention to the fact that they're not being treated fairly or they don't like what's happening. Right now, there have been 2.4 thousand messages sent to about 100 senators and 320 representatives in some different places. People are really trying right now. People are stepping up. Coinbase knows this as well. Coinbase has let a lot of statements go. Kraken has let a lot of statements go because there's multiple different areas that are being attacked right now. It's not only Ripple, it's not only XRP. And even though it was the central point of this video, I mean, I've looked through so many different freaking files, like 500 of them, or 400? Yeah, I think 400 right now. We've looked through and checked them all out. That's really only a small part of the entire puzzle. It's only a couple of puzzle pieces in the entire freaking puzzle. Really, it is. Because this is most important for the quick price gains, right? And I've said before, Ripple XRP, Ripple/XRP. If Ripple fixes his lawsuit, the price is most likely going to skyrocket if you ask me. Again, not financial advice. I don't know for sure. None of this is legal advice anyway. But that's my thought process. But for the crypto market, it will be so important. Because if they lose, it's going to be kind of like a domino effect. If they lose this strike, another strike is going to come, another one, blah, 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 blah. It's going to keep going on, which is going to be very negative. And if they win, a lot of other cryptos, like, for example, XLM, are going to have some easy kind of road to walk through. And what am I basing that on? Well, I'm basing it on the fact that right now, think about it, like I just said, even Bitcoin and Ethereum are hard to decide because some SEC members have said, oh, it's all not clear. Some of them say, oh, it's all clear. If one of the SEC members says it's not clear, then how can that be? If an SEC commissioner says it's not clear, Ripple's XRP, and I'm calling it that way for a good reason, would be the first properly regulated crypto in the US, setting kind of a standard for everything, because we can look back at what the judge decided and say, hey, this is now law. This is the way that the court and the US decides what constitutes as a crypto or not on a couple of different paces, and it's still going to be different crypto by crypto, but this is like a general rule of thumb because there's going to be a couple of different pieces in there. Most importantly being this fair notice defense. And even though Ripple has multiple different defenses, this is just one that's right now that we're waiting for a decision on, basically by the judge. And if you're wondering, right now we are in expert discovery, which has been extended to January like 12th or so. And that's basically where both sides go and ask different experts for opinions on different matters, and they try to kind of show that to the opposite side. The SEC right now is having a ton of different depositions, or I should call them interviews, whatever, with different experts about things. They plan like 20 of them or so over the next month or so. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be cool to follow. But generally speaking, guys, I think things are going to resolve in Ripple's favor. I think it's about to be really freaking amazing. Some secrets from within the SEC might be exposed. One of them being what Bill Clinton... Oh, wow, Bill Clinton. Well, Jay Clayton, for example, did before he joined the SEC, or why he joined the SEC, or why he sued Ripple. Things like that are being covered. Why William Himon gave his speech and what the consequences of that were. Whether or not Ethereum's decision and verdict have been biased. Whether or not there was a monetary incentive for any of the SEC members to give these decisions or go through these lawsuits or any of that type of stuff. Things are being covered as we speak by a ton of really important researchers. John Dean putting a lot of effort. Let me quickly see here who I always look up. John Dean putting a lot of effort. James Phelan putting a lot of effort. Crypto, the company from John Dean, doing amazing work. Jeremy Hogan doing a ton of amazing work and just kind of making things noticeable for all of us. Digital Asset Investor doing a lot of work. Charles Gasparino doing a lot of work over on Fox. Crypto Area doing some amazing work over on the, reporting of all the XP Ripple stuff. Backup Bradley doing a lot of work, putting things together as well. I like him a lot when we're reading through things. XP Owl always doing good jobs. I'm not too sure how heavy he is on the lawsuit stuff, but he's always putting up cool little videos and cool little informational pieces on Twitter. A lot of crazy stuff. Cool community. Always happy to be part of it. Always happy to share things and read through this stuff. If you have any updates or things I forgot to share in here, let me know in the comments section down below. It was the quickest little overview of the current situation that I could give. Tried my best. Again, this wasn't really planned out because that's not the way I roll. And I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. So big shout out to all the guys I just mentioned. I hope you guys are all doing well. If there's anything you ever need from me, let me know in the Twitter, Telegram. Just let me know somewhere. And I'll see you guys again in another crypto video later today.